Hi folks, today I'm going to be talking about the social contract of the table. Okay, so first of all, what do I mean by social contract? I'm not necessarily saying your tabletop RPG table needs to have like a formal contract written out that everybody signs. No, that's not what I'm talking about. The social contract is more of what are the group rules, what are the societal rules that everyone agrees upon. And a lot of these kind of have gone unsaid. You probably are following some of these rules or guidelines already without having sat down and had a conversation necessarily. But especially if you're starting up with a new group or you're starting a new campaign, I think it's very helpful to have a short conversation about what the social contract is, what the table etiquette is for not only this group but this campaign. So a few of these things I did touch on in my Session 0 video. You can go check that out right up here, and I think Session 0 is a great time to have this conversation. If you aren't able to schedule a Session 0 or you just don't find that that works for your group, you can bring these things up in like a text as you're setting up that first session, or just kind of starting out the first session kind of being like, hey, let's make sure everybody's on the same page. And I think that's ultimately what a lot of these get down to, is that you're making sure that everybody's on the same page ahead of time, and then also kind of setting up the like, how do we go about when we aren't on the same page or when there is conflict in the group. And before I get into all of the details, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. So the first thing that should get discussed is, what are you playing and how are you playing it? So what game are you playing? What system are you using? I think a part that oftentimes gets overlooked is how are you playing it? And that this is not only like what method are you using, whether it's miniatures or theater of the mind, or you're playing online, but also like what's kind of the theme? I know a lot of groups that go into Curse of Strahd where half of the people go into it being like, this is gonna be fun and goofy, and the other half are expecting it to be grimdark, and those two clash very much. So establishing, yes, kind of the theme, the mood that you're going for, and this is something probably more the game master is going to establish with here's the campaign I'm running, here's the game, but it's also good to have your players chime in with what they enjoy, because yeah, if you can play a game grimdark or super goofy, and if you know everybody at the table wants to play it super goofy, lean into that, or say, no, okay, we're not going to play this game. So establishing that, I think, helps avoid having somebody who's like, this is not the game that I was expecting to play, and running into that, like, do I leave the group? Do I say something? These are my friends, I want to play with my friends, but I'm not enjoying myself. The next thing is, how long are our sessions going to run? How frequent are they going to be? And then also, like, how long is the campaign expected to run? If you know this is something that we're going to play for 6 months, that's good for everybody to know going in. If this is an open-ended and it can go on however long we want, that can sometimes be a very different game, and people may or may not be okay with signing on to an indefinite amount of time. They also might make different choices with their character if they know, oh, we're only going to play this 6 times. I'll maybe be a little bit more adventurous with my character and play something that I might absolutely love and want to play again, or I might go, yep, 6 sessions was enough, I can move on to another character, versus a long-term, campaign. They may want to play a character they're more comfortable playing for a long time, that maybe it's a more dynamic character that is going to have a lot of character arcs and stuff like that, or is more they're in their comfort zone, so they know I'm not going to get bored of this character. I love playing this kind of character. With scheduling, I think it's also helpful to talk about how do you handle if somebody is late or if they can't make a session. Establishing this early on kind of makes, when those times happen, when somebody has a last minute life thing come up or they run into traffic and they're like, I'm going to be an hour late to game and it's only a 3-hour game, or my babysitter canceled, I can't come tonight, then you know what's going to happen. It's a little bit less of a last minute shuffle, and it makes everybody feel a little bit more comfortable when life happens. Along the table etiquette side of things, you may want to discuss food and drink at the table. What are you okay with? What are you not? If somebody's going to be expected to bring food for the whole group and kind of what that schedule is going to be. And then also, what are things that people find as distractions at the table, what's going to be okay or not okay. So for example, cell phones at the table. And this is something that you might want to discuss because somebody might, yes, I have to have my cell phone in case my babysitter calls and something happens, or they are on call for work. Or they use their cell phone for game. They have their character sheet on their cell phone because they like D&D Beyond or one of those things. And also just like other things. Are you okay with people getting up and walking around? Do you really want people to be super focused and at the table? And then maybe you take some more breaks if you do have people who are like, I need to get up and stretch every hour. Okay, we'll take a break every hour instead of trying to play 3 hours straight. And on that note, also, with the scheduling thing, how often are you going to have breaks? And are they going to be set things, or is it going to be just, if someone needs a break, you'll take a break? This is a great opportunity to discuss any safety tools that you're going to implement at your table. I've done a couple of videos about those. You can check more about them up in here or in the description down below. And then also I think it's helpful to establish, what do you do when there's a problem in the group? So, do you go directly to the player? Do you speak to the game master? I think most of the time it's best if you just talk directly to the person you're having a problem with. But if you kind of establish, like, we're going to have regular check-ins, this is a great opportunity to bring up any issues you have with the campaign or with anybody at the group. And, establishing that nice, like, we're here to fix things and not to, like, call people out. But if you kind of establish that, that can sometimes be helpful. And it might also just be the stating, like, if you have a problem, bring it up to somebody, because we want everybody to be having fun. And if there's something that somebody's doing that is really in hindering your fun, just talk to them. I mean, ultimately, that's what a lot of this comes down to. We're establishing open lines of communication, if I can communicate. And then finally, you might want to talk about everyone's feelings about how do you leave the group if you need to leave or you're finding you're not enjoying the game. Don't ghost people. Just putting that out there. And then also, how do people feel about adding people to the group? Knowing that ahead of time, or the like, yes, we're okay with adding somebody as long as everybody gives a thumbs up. Or, yeah, I'm fine with you inviting somebody. We'll do one trial session with them to see how they like it, how we like it, and then we'll open it up. Kind of establishing what that expectation is going to be early on is helpful. Or bring it up if it comes up, and ask before inviting the other person so, you don't let that other person down. Okay, so those are some of the things that you might want to establish as part of your table's social contract. If there's anything that I've missed that you think is really important to kind of talk about, to establish, and all of that, let me know down in the comments below. I think ultimately a lot of this helps to prevent those groups that just kind of fall apart because nobody talked to each other because there was a problem or there was an expectation for the game that wasn't met that could have been alleviated had the game been discussed a little bit, like, established. I mean, if you're playing D&D, there are rules, clear rules for D&D, and I think kind of establishing some of these rules or etiquette for the table itself also makes your game that much better because everybody knows what's expected, what's okay, and what's not okay. I will also add a lot of additional social contract stuff is just societal contract. So if you're playing with a group of friends that you really are close with, that you guys have known each other and you're all, grew up in the same society, you might not need to have as much discussion. if you're playing with somebody who is, like, especially if you're playing an online game, who lives in a different country, you might want to have a little bit more of these conversations because different societies have different expectations, different kind of social things. So, establishing the, like, what is the society of our table is helpful. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe because we make videos here every week on tabletop RPGs and our other geeky interests. And we also have bonus videos that come out from time to time, so make sure that you're following our social media so you can keep up on when we've got bonus content, and also when we're doing stuff on, like, other channels or live streams, things like that. A big thanks to our patrons, especially Bryce. If you want to support our channel, you can head over to our Patreon page and check out the perks of being a patron. Alright, I'll see you next time on Roll for Initiative. Bye! About the social contract of the tabletop RPG table. Tabletop RPG table. That's too many tables.